Hey guys, I'm Rich from NeoWin, and today we're unboxing the Lenovo ThinkPad C13 Yoga Chromebook Enterprise. If that name sounds like a mouthful, it is. And if it sounds like it doesn't make much sense, it doesn't. They might as well have thrown convertible on the end there, even though it's called a Yoga. Because, it's so weird. And before we even get into the product, let's talk about branding a little bit, because branding, and a lot of this has to do with Google's end. Obviously, Google has some hardware specs they want people to meet, but they also have branding, because you notice that every Chromebook has Chromebook in the name, which is weird. It's weird, they could have called it ThinkPad C13 Yoga, and just say the C stands for Chromebook, but they didn't. It's C13 Yoga Chromebook. And then they added enterprise to the end, even though Think is an enterprise brand. ThinkPad, by definition, is for businesses. Right. So there's a lot of there's a lot of double mint gum happening there. That's what I'm going to call it. Anyway, now down to the product. This thing has AMD's Ryzen 3000C processors. So if you're unfamiliar, AMD recently announced these Ryzen 3000C processors. C, again, meaning for Chromebooks. They were put in Windows. The Ryzen 3000 processors were in Windows PCs. Not too many. Ryzen 4000 is what became incredibly popular. I didn't see. From Ryzen 2000, I got one review unit. From Ryzen 3000, I got one review unit. From Ryzen 4000, I've reviewed close to a dozen of them, right? But that Ryzen 4000 is the 7nm one. That's the one where they really broke out. But Ryzen 3000, it's still 12 nanometers, and they're just kind of putting them in Chromebooks. Now, I think part of the reason that we're not seeing Ryzen 4000 in Chromebooks is because we're just, maybe AMD is getting rid of some old chips that they had lying around and kind of branding them as Chromebook processors, or just maybe they still got the fabs going. I don't know. But this one has a Ryzen 5. But yeah, they are very much similar to the Ryzen 3000 processors that we were seeing in Windows PCs, just now for Chrome OS. And obviously Chrome OS doesn't require the same kinds of resources that Windows does, so you can kind of put older processors, lower end processors in there, and it ends up working out pretty well. Okay, you can get it up to a Ryzen 7. You can get it with up to 16 gigs of RAM. So this is a pretty premium PC. And it is a ThinkPad Chromebook. You don't see too many ThinkPad Chromebooks. ThinkPad is, historically a Windows brand, but Chrome OS is pushing its way into enterprise PCs. So let's get this open. As it doesn't come in any kind of fancy box. That's totally normal for a any business PC, in fact, because the idea is that most people that are going to end up using a device like this are never going to actually even see the box that it comes in, right? It just gets handed to them from the IT admins. So here's the laptop itself, not particularly thin or light. It's meant to be obviously tougher. There's a power cable. I want to see which power brick they send. But 45 watts instead of the usual 65 watts. It also doesn't have the new design. It's just a regular flat brick that Lenovo's used for a while. Obviously USB Type-C. So yeah, it's meant to be tough. All ThinkPads are meant to be tough. They're not rugged devices, but they're mil-spec certified. They pass over a dozen tests to handle dust resistance, extreme temperatures, stuff like that. So, these are the machines are tough. Now, if you thought that this was just another ThinkPad, but with Chrome OS installed on it, you would be mistaken, because quite a bit is different. And the first thing you're going to notice is that this is not black like ThinkPads are. ThinkPads are typically black. The X1 Yoga is not. That's more of a gunmetal gray. But this is actually a shade of blue. So it's completely different. And of course, we have the Chrome OS logo up here. But also it's made of aluminum, which the only other aluminum ThinkPad is the ThinkPad X1 Yoga. right? Well, actually, there are some variants of ThinkPads, but we're not going to go there. We're not going to go there right now. They sent me one with the Ryzen 5 3500C processor. It does go up to a Ryzen 7 3700C, up to 16 gigs of RAM. You get it with a 4K OLED display, which is awesome, 13.3 inches. But this one is not 4K OLED, sadly enough. We've got a pen. So let's take a closer look. So you'll notice that ThinkPad branding up here. Whoops. That ThinkPad branding is pretty standard, right? That grayish silver ThinkPad logo. Let's see what the inside looks like. And so now what I want to point, by the way, there's a world-facing camera there, which is something that's unique to the Chromebook. There's no other ThinkPad that has a camera right there. What just lit up is Chrome OS. I want to focus your attention on the keyboard right now, though, because this is a ThinkPad keyboard, and that's something. ThinkPads are renowned for their keyboard quality, right? They're also renowned for this track point. That's a legacy component. This is probably the first Chromebook ever with any kind of track point, even though HP and Dell does put that in some of their Windows PCs. But you notice upper capital keys, right? Chromebooks typically have lowercase letters on the keys. That is one thing that Lenovo seems to have stuck to, because like I said, Google has a lot of hardware specs. And here's an example, right? On this side, right, we've got a USB Type-C port. It's USB 3.2 Gen 1, 5 gigabits per second. Two USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A ports, micro SD, 3.5 millimeter audio jack, right? Let's look at the other side. On this side, we've got another USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type-C port and an HDMI port, right? Got a volume rocker and a power button. Now, notice specifically Type-C ports on both sides of the laptop. That is not something that you'll see very often with Windows PCs at all. On every other ThinkPad that you'll find, both Type-C ports are on the left side. And that's also partly for mechanical docking purposes and stuff like that. But on Chromebooks, they're on both sides. And personally, I like it that way just because it lets you, it makes it nice and easy to charge, right? With wires not getting in the way. Because if you're right-handed and you have a mouse over here, you can easily just, plug it in on this side. Like this side, it's not a major pain point, but it's a minor pain point that's solved with having charging ports on both sides. Another thing that you will not find on any other ThinkPads, at least, is a physical volume rocker, right? So that's a nice touch for a convertible, because you might use this as a tablet. You totally can, right? So now with a physical volume rocker, you can adjust the volume without having to fiddle with on-screen sliders. All right, so I've got this all set up, and that's actually kind of cool. It's got that Lenovo ThinkPad background wallpaper here that's common on Windows PCs, and it's a very familiar experience right from the start. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Like I said, this is the 1080p one. I wish they sent me OLED, but I mean, they're probably just not seeding those. Another thing, like I said, we do have a pen garage. This thing is awesome, and it's one of my favorite things about ThinkPad convertibles in general, just that you can nice and easily always have the pen with you. This is something that I mean, I've praised it with ThinkPads before. Like, it has these two charging pins on the side, right? So it is always charging while it's stored in there. So while you're using it, it always has a charge. It's always with you. Like, a lot of pen-based devices have like a magnet on the side where it falls off in your bag, or you might forget to bring it with you or whatever. This is just there. It's just in there. So that makes it nice and easy to me. I like it a lot. It's always charged. It's always with you, because I don't use the pen that much, and to me it just makes it a lot easier to be able to do it that way. I'm really impressed with this because there's like I've reviewed so many ThinkPads, while I've been reviewing laptops these past few years, and so I know what makes a ThinkPad a ThinkPad. Like, it's so easy Like do you spot a difference? Like the USB Type C ports on both sides instead of the left side. Like I see that instantly because I like so many ThinkPads, and it's really cool to see that they've adjusted so much for Chrome OS. While still making it a ThinkPad. Like it still has that premium keyboard. It still has the track point, those physical buttons above the trackpad, the clickable trackpad, and all that good stuff. It's all there. You know, like I said, by the way, those Type C ports are USB 3.2 Gen 1. I would like to see Gen 2 always, because that's 10 gigabits per second instead of 5 gigabits per second. But you're not going to see Thunderbolt. It's an AMD product. From what I like, I know that in theory it's possible to build an AMD powered machine with Thunderbolt, but I've still never seen it. Like this has never crossed my desk. I've never seen it in a news article that I've written. I would love to. If anybody has a link to a product, an AMD product or a Qualcomm product or any not the MacBooks, because Apple did promise Thunderbolt in their M1 MacBooks, but if anybody has a non-Intel product that they can link to, let me know. So guys, that's it. I'm going to be playing with this for, a few weeks. Stay tuned. I'm Rich from NeoWin. Have a great night.